You had said, I think, at least during the primary campaign, that you wanted an outside group to study the function of city government, as the county did, like an outside firm to come in and do that study of how efficiency study. Is that still the case?
Well,
like Maximus or somebody.
Or
have you? Or now that you're not the, I mean, because that was.
What?
No, I'm wondering if that's still the case. You want an outside firm to do that look.
What I've said is, on different occasions, one thing I want to have a council of economic advisors that are going to come in and something with like public works and figure out how we can be more efficient. What I said, one thing that we could look at is, I know that the county has brought in outside entities to look at different departments and see if it can be run more efficient. That's something that we will look at.
So you're not saying definitely that would be
right. Bernie, I can't, until I am sitting in that office and until I see all those directors and I go through that personnel, I can't tell you with the exact degree of certainty. It is something that I will investigate. Now, I need to have an entire staff if you're running for office to get all this information for you. But it's something to look at. If I think somebody can come in and tell us how we can be more efficient, and we can copy something from other cities that has saved them money, am I going to try and implement it? Absolutely. We're going to have to look at ways that we can save money.
And this other line-by-line audit you talk about of like the budget, you're talking about that's internal.
That's internal. Yes. It's not a forensic audit that's going to cost.
Outside stuff.
I'm talking. I'm going to sit down, office management, and go through personnel.
Do you know who any of your top aides will be? I know you've said Phil Gannett will lead your search for a CWLP.
Phil, yeah, what I said is I've talked to Phil about City Water, Light and Power, and one of the things that I found is I've talked to people at City Water, Light and Power. He was very well liked. I thought he did a very good job in a very difficult situation, and I asked Phil, when it comes time to doing a search for that, would he participate in that? So as far as do I have people picked out for top positions, no, I do not. I believe you got to win the election before you start worrying about that stuff.
Now you talked a little bit about until you're in the office, there's a lot you can't see. But one thing you can see from your business background is, do you think is the city of Springfield business friendly overall?
No,
from a government standpoint. How do you change that?
Well, number one, it's an overall attitude, and I think it starts with the mayor all up to the directors and all the way down. And that's why I talked about this Council of Economic Advisors. One of the things is you talk to people out there, they talk about how difficult it is to develop and build, and the different hoops that they have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
It takes they say that it takes longer to get things done in Springfield than it does in other surrounding cities. So one of the things I want to look at is bring these people to the table and say, tell me what you don't like about how things work here, and then I'll go back to people to say, well, this is the perception, and they do it this way in other cities, and come up with new ideas to make sure that it's more efficient. People that are in development and building, a month, 2 weeks, can mean an entire lifetime in a project just because of weather-related instances. So a month is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Have you said who's going to be in the Council of Economic Advisors at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you have any idea, or is it?
No.
Okay.
There'll be business leaders from around the city.
I tend to focus a little bit on the MacArthur corridor because I live over in that area, but there's other pockets of either on the fringe or outright blight. As mayor, what can you do to stir up some interest in reviving an area like MacArthur around the old Kmart?
Well, one of the things that I've said that I think we need to look at is a TIF. We have to make sure that it fits the qualifications, obviously. But I think especially in that particular area, I think it would be effective and work. But you've also got to get an economic development team that is out there. The days of sitting around and waiting for development opportunities to come to us have got to be over. We've got to be out there pursuing economic development opportunities, and my economic development team will constantly be doing that.
Do you believe firmly in incentives for businesses to come or expand? And because obviously there's a cost there.
Right, there is, and we would have to look at everything on a case by case basis. It would, if somebody wants to bring something here that produces 1,000 jobs and they want some incentive, should we think about it? Absolutely, but it would have to be a case by case basis.
I don't know that anybody is different on this one yet, but would you accept campaign money from your employees at the city, as has continued to be done by mayors, but not over at the state?
I haven't really even thought about it.
Well, if you were to think about it,
I'll
is it a
leave
good idea, or you know, Todd always had the $500, and Devlin and Sarah both had the $500 club. You're in the mayor's circle. You come to Todd's house once a year for $500.
Was that was city employees? Or was
Often,
it-
several. There were a few.
I'll have to think about it. I haven't thought about. You know, that's the least of my worries right now. I'm worried about how we're going to change the city.
You know, there was talk at one point of combining the Convention and Visitors Bureau and the, you know, the SMEA board. Well, the SMEA, the whole agency. I mean, is that something? I can't remember. I think you probably said something about that.
Yeah, I have. I think it's something that needs to be looked at. You know, one thing that everybody's got to remember is for every dollar you spend on tourism, it returns $7. And I really do think that it will be a large economic boom to the city of Springfield. Should it be a total merger or a partial merger, or should we redo the way things are done? Yes, it's something that definitely needs to be looked at and considered. I would like to see private business. I'd like to see more of a public-private, you know, partnership with CVB and development. You know, let's get hotel people involved. Let's get, you know, let's make sure everybody's at the table so that we're all on the same page. Not that we're not all on the same page now, but to make it a little bit easier. And is there, you know, like just on rental space, you know, what are we spending, you know, for rental space down there? When we do a renovation of the convention center, could we all be housed in the same building? Would that be effective? While I know the objective of CVB is to promote all of Springfield, I totally understand that. But when you talk about bringing in conventions to the city of Springfield, the convention center is an integral piece of that. And it's a very big part of CVB's recruitment, because you need to have the facilities to bring the top quality conventions to town that spend a lot of money, and we are losing those to the surrounding areas because they are constantly updating and spending more money on their facilities, and we have not been.
I think the assumption always was that CVB would go to SMEA, but if you're going to be mayor instead of SMEA board chairman, would you see it possibly going the other way?
You have to look at it. Here's the problem. We're going to have to come up with a creative solution. There's no question about it. You know, if SMEA went with CVB, I have always been for whatever was best for the city of Springfield and whatever would work, regardless of I was board chairman or not board chairman. The problem with SMEA going to CVB is that then you're losing your tax money. So then where are you going to get that tax money? And maybe it's just like I said, maybe it's as small as they're all housed together. Right? Maybe we have an advisory committee made up of non-paid people like zoning is, and make some recommendations. I think we really do have to, from a city standpoint, the lead sellers of this city in many instances are the hotel operators, because their business lives and dies on the convention business, and it really produces tremendous amounts of money for the city of Springfield. And it's something we can do that's not going to cost us money, right? We've got the money in the TIF district. That's why I was so adamant about getting the money. We've got the money sitting in that TIF district. This is a project that can increase revenue for the city of Springfield. So many of those other TIF projects personally benefit, you know, a few amount of people. This project will benefit the greater community and the city of Springfield.
Yeah, you mentioned the other night in the debate, expansion. Everybody should be for expansion of the convention center. Are you talking just about the $16 million
right.
plan? You're
right.
not talking about the full expansion.
Well, what I was saying is, right now, you know, the city's committed $5 million to the convention center, and I wanted to make sure, and I wanted it out there, that I want, no matter who wins this mayor's race, that they are committed to that $5 million. You know, the next mayor could get in and say, oh, you know, we're not going to give you the TIF funds now. It's a possibility. So I wanted the public to be aware that it's there, and I hope you guys will all do your job if the next mayor is not me and they try and take that money away, because it's something we've been working. It's drastically needed for.
Okay. If you were mayor, would you seek to shift more of those TIF monies over to SMEA, or I mean, what are your thoughts on that, if anything, at this point?
At this point, we've got a plan. We've got a plan in place, and the nice part about this plan was the $16 million. We've designed that so that if there was ever, we're not wasting money. One of the things that I made sure that they did was this was all going to go on north side of the building. The expansion was talked about coming out of the south side of the building. So we're putting all the new bathrooms over there. So it's not like we're going to spend 16 million putting bathrooms here, then cut them down and tear everything down. We have designed this so that if we do get the opportunity for future expansion, we are not wasting taxpayer dollars. And that was one of the big things that I made sure that was done.
You're not proposing any kind of change in the separate legislative taxing district for the convention center. That would stay.
Right. You want to look at, you want to be practical. I don't want to throw out pie in the sky things that you're going to have to fight and argue for years to get done. I want to be a very practical mayor and see what we can achieve. What can we all come to a common agreement on, and that will make the city a better place. And I think that's one of the things that I'll bring to the mayor's office. I'm a very practical person. I don't want to go out and go after pie in the sky. I want to get real tangible results, and I want to do it as quickly as possible.
In the core versus sprawl debate, I think you have seemed to say things like we need almost Coons-like, we need to, not we stop some of the outer expansion to make sure we're paying attention. Am I mischaracterizing that, or where are you on, expansion into Chatham and near Rochester and out west versus Enos Park?
What I've said is that I don't think we should, stop growth, but you could slow it down by incentivizing growth in the inner city and areas that you want developed. That was all. Because I don't think as mayor you can really stop the growth, but you can try and steer the growth to areas that you want. And one of the things that I think the next mayor should look at is let's find one area. Let's find one of these that has a plan, and let's work on that, and let's get it done. Let's get it accomplished so that the public can see what can be done.
Where do you want that to be?
I don't. That at this point I don't. I knew that question was coming.
Well, it seems like we have specific plans in the works or already finished for Enos Park and for MacArthur.
Right.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking let's pick one of those two or both of those, and let's accomplish that in an entirety, and see how it works. What can we do? Let's accomplish them. Let's at the end of 4 years, I would like, if I were mayor, I want you to be able to see something. Well, you know what? He actually said he was going to do this, and he accomplished it, and it's finished. Not, well, we're going to give this person a little bit, this person a little bit, this person a little bit, and then nothing's really accomplished. So we tried to appease everybody, but we didn't accomplish anything. Let's accomplish one, and let's figure out where it is. If it's Enos Park, if it's MacArthur, maybe it's both of them.
But doesn't that let someplace like the East Side languish?
I'm not saying that the East Side may not be the part that we decide to do.
So it could be that, or that.
It could be anything at this point. He's the one that said that the plans were in
But you
place
agreed
for
with
those
him.
two.
Yeah.
Well, there's also probably a 15-year-old plan about the East Side that's in a shelf gathering dust somewhere.
But let's figure out which plan, and this is not going to be a dictatorship as mayor. I think that's one of the other things that as the candidates look at the people that are running, you need to have a mayor that is going to have a good working relationship with the council, and I believe that I will be the best person to work with the council out of all the candidates.
This is not a trick question, but you've had a rocky relationship with the Republican Party and its leader in this. Does that give any indication that you don't smooth feelings well of others?
You're talking about it.
I mean, that was the highest profile thing you had with you, and it blew up.
And I've got a question for you. Am I the first person to have a disagreement with Tony Libri?
This was the more significant one I've seen in a while.
Yes, yeah. You've been there. Have I been able to smooth things over at the convention center board with all 11 members of the board?
Zeri's been quiet lately, but there are now like 8 Republicans and 3 Democrats.
But even with Mike Zeri, I've been very happy to work with everyone. I don't exclude anybody when we're doing something. I call them up, let them know what's going on, and I think that's why we have not had the kind of problems.
Okay. Also, in your first term, you talked about, in your first term. You
That's
talked
good.
early in the election.
That'd be great.
You talked
Does this
about
mean you're endorsing me?
You're going to be that you would only want one term because then it fits in with your parents' retirement and all of that. And then you said in the interview, well, if I like the job, maybe I'll run again. So where are you on the one term or more?
I've got to get elected. That's the problem that as I've gotten more into this, where what you find out is these problems are long-term problems. I think everybody will admit that we can't solve all these problems in 4 years. It's going to take 8 years, 10 years, and all that. So if needed, and the public thinks that I am doing a good job, if elected mayor, would I serve another term? Yes.
Okay, and that not taking your pay, that's just for the first 3 months?
Yes.
Okay.
You love that part, don't you?
Well, it was your only press conference, come on.
How many do you want me to have?
Up to you. We
You want me to-
we don't like to,
You want me to have? Well, forget it. I can't.
railroads, whatever you want.
Oh, well, why don't we talk about high-speed rail?
Mm-hmm.
What do you see as your role if you're mayor? First of all, I think that you're on record that you favor the 10th Street
Yes,
approach.
I am.
What do you think, what can the mayor's role be in terms of advancing that? Or if the environmental study comes back and says 3rd Street is a better option, then what do you do?
Well, we're going to have to fight that. It's got to go on 10th Street because the future growth of this city and job growth in the city, and most immediate job growth in the city, I believe is going to be in the medical district. And I think it's vital that we get it off the 3rd Street corridor. So as mayor, I will do everything in my power to make sure that it does go to the 10th Street corridor.
Houston today told us that he would sue, no matter if it didn't go on 10th, if it went on 3rd, he would sue, and then he would try to. He said, "I don't care about high-speed rail in the entire state of Illinois if it affects Springfield in a negative way that it would go on."
Well,
would you pledge to sue?
No, I'm not going to make any pledges to sue because, as Mayor Houston found out in his first term that he's not really good with those lawsuits. He cost the city $2 million. So we want to obviously, Mayor Houston likes attorneys and he likes hiring people more than he likes to refine government.
Well, he likes what, I'm sorry?
He likes attorneys and hiring people more than he is. We're in a situation where we need to have a smaller, and all he talks about is hiring attorneys and lawsuits.
Oh, you're talking about to tear down the old houses?
Yeah.
Okay. Boarded up houses.
Now, Frank Coons did bring up something that we've heard from other people before, and that is he thinks if it goes on, if we consolidate the rail traffic to 10th Street, that'll be the Berlin Wall, that was his words, that will separate further separate the east side of town from everything west.
Well, you've got
How
to
do you address
well,
that?
you've got to make sure that doesn't happen. You've got to make sure that when you do it, I believe a big part of it, like I said the other night, was making sure that multimodal facility goes on 10th Street. Make sure that the services are closer to the people that use the service. Make sure that future economic, and that it goes back to when we talked about incentivizing growth. Make sure that when this happens, or if this happens, we're creating economic opportunity on East Springfield. There's a whole growth potential that this does bring with it if we work it right and we have a mayor that pushes and makes sure that no one is left behind. I mean, you're just going to have to work very hard to make sure that doesn't happen. But we can look at you can look at it from the negative perspective. You can look at it from the positive perspective and think of the jobs and economic opportunity that can be brought by this high-speed rail. And if we consolidate the tracks, warehousing and transportation, make sure that those jobs are put in East Springfield, so that so there's opportunity for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to come with it. Nobody nobody wants train tracks going, but the fact of the matter is the train tracks are there now. It's not a perfect scenario. Nothing is a perfect scenario when it comes to this, but is this the best scenario? I believe it is.
How would you work to influence the legislature and Washington? Sometimes mayors have traveled to both places to lobby or hired some firms to do that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to lobbying. I'm not opposed to hiring lobbyists. We were successful at the convention center, getting $4 million. So I'm happy with that. Unfortunately, it's a necessary situation to get some things that you want, and I believe that I'd be very good at that. I'm better than the other 3 candidates, as a matter of fact, at lobbying.
Oh, you mean personally?
Personally lobbying and knowing, I know of statewide. I know a lot of the people that are involved in lobbying and who to go to, and I think I have better personal relationships with a lot of these people.
Have you worked that at all with your customers? I mean, I know everybody knows Madigan eats at your restaurant all the time. Like
Everybody loves that.
Seeking the $4 million that the convention center got through the convention center lobbyist statewide. Did you work that yourself?
No, well, a little bit, but we had a lobbyist.
Okay, so I mean, you say you'd be better at this, but any direct experience doing that kind of thing?
Well, I lobby those guys all the time for different stuff. Just
like what?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Wait,
What do you mean?
I'm not. Wait a second. Are you talking about? Are you talking about like an association?
There's an association of convention
Okay.
centers that paid.
Yeah, right.
Kevin. Was it?
Zach Stamps.
Zach Stamps
Okay.
law firm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and we spearheaded that whole.
Okay, I thought
With
you-
Katie Anselment. She works with him, right? On that.
Something.
I thought you meant lobbying Mike Madigan when he's in City.
No,
Well, I had
that's where he's going.
No, but I'm
He's fixed-
just wondering. No, but you.
No, but what I'm getting at is I wouldn't, well, in some of these cases, I wouldn't be going as, I'm just the mayor of Springfield. I have personal relationships and know these people from a social setting, so I think it gives me an advantage when I call people up. You know, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. But I was wondering if you got anything specifically either for the convention center or for anything else by actually doing that. State House wise.
Did I keep updated with what was going on with the Capitol bill on my own with some? Yes, absolutely.
Mike Higgins, when he was in here talking about for Ward 7, he talked about since the MacArthur corridor is in Ward 7 and he's been downtown forever, he talked about the benefits that the downtown TIF has had for his business, and he'd like to bring that elsewhere. From your perspective as a businessman downtown, has that been your experience too? Has it been, what have you seen? Is there any common theme to the downtown growth over the last 15 years
Yeah,
or so?
do I think it's helped? Yes, but it gets back to I have a different vision of a TIF, and I think it should be used for bringing businesses to town and on a broader scale. As somebody that's had a downtown business since 1948 and has never accepted TIF money or any kind of government subsidy, I think what you want to use it for is to make sure that we're bringing business. I have a different belief, and that's why I'm so passionate about the convention center project, is that if we bring people to town and they're spending money in town, then people on their own will buy buildings and fix them up. You can't just fix up all these buildings and not bring more business to town. So I think more importantly, the mayor's role is to increase business and economic development and bringing it to town. Are TIFs a tool to do that? Yes.
And what do you do when ours runs out downtown in 2016? Or do you know what the next step should be?
Well, we'll have to look at it in 2016 and see what needs to be done. I don't know if you create a different TIF or expand it. We'll have to look at it at the end. You can't be extended, but you'd have to create a new TIF.
Has anybody looked at the legality of yeah, you can't extend it, but has anyone looked at the legality of, okay, well, let's just move it over a street and we'll have a new TIF? Is that even legal? Is it?
Well, you have to meet some requirements, so you'd have to expand it, and I think there's some blighting requirements, and that's...
Well, it's not blighted now. I mean, it was
Right, that's why I'm saying it would have to, you would have to make it bigger and take in more area.
Okay.
In order to, I think, to meet the blighting requirement. I think that's one of the things you have to look at on MacArthur is, will you meet that blighting requirement? Because as you go, you've got the nicer neighborhoods over there, so then will that cause you not to meet the requirements? So all of it's predicated on what you can legally do. But
Speaking of MacArthur, there was an issue a year or two ago where the city council imposed limits on payday lenders and how many you could have in a certain area. That kind of sparked a debate about, there is a market for this business, and it's a legitimate business. Does the city, if there's a market for it, does the city have any right to limit where these places can locate?
Good question. I don't know that it depends. You'd have to look at different individual businesses and all of that. I think the bigger key is to, if you create the right economic development over there, then you raise the property values and all of that. I don't think you'll see those kind of businesses locating there. So I think if we implement the MacArthur project, that will eliminate a lot of that.
And what if they just relocate somewhere else? And then you have the
Well, if there's a demand for
it,
if there's a demand for it, I am not for, putting businesses, here we are in a situation where we need more business. I'm not for putting businesses out of work. So I understand that the neighborhood, doesn't like that they've all located there, and that's why I think if you implement the TIF, that it might disperse some of that.
How's your fundraising going?
It's going great.
Yeah.
We saw your ad today.
How?
We'll see tomorrow night.
Are you? It's tonight.
Oh, God, yeah, that's right. See, you're right, it is tonight.
Can you give any idea to us of, I mean, has it picked up since like the little blow up of a week ago, or?
Yeah, is my fund here?
How's it
When you
going?
get to that question, my fundraising is fine, and that blow up because my fundraising has really been from friends and businesses throughout the city of Springfield, and the money still continues to come in the final weeks of this campaign.
Are you over 200,000 yet, or can you say where you're at?
I'd have to look, but I don't know. Yeah, I would suspect that I will be if I'm not.
I'll follow up on his question about who you'd have in the administration. And Sheila told us yesterday, I mean, just observe. I thought it was kind of fascinating, her observations about the Davlin administration and how things went. I mean, she said he packed his administration with friends and family members, basically. I mean, how do you, I mean, do you view that negatively, and how would you approach that? I know you can't say who would be.
Yeah, right. It depends on who your friends, who they are.
Right.
You know, but if you're asking me this question, do I have a bunch of friends and family that I'm putting in the answer is no. I don't have. You know, I don't. The vast majority of my very good friends are business owners, have jobs. You know, so I'm not. I think that's why you're going to get with somebody like me. You're going to get a professional management team. There's going to be an interview process. You know, the jobs will be open to qualified people to apply for and get.
Well, we are coming up at the end of our hour. Does anybody else? Bernie, anything you didn't ask?
You know, there's one thing that, and Matt knows this bugged me. In your first flyer, you said, I'm going to make sure we test the water in Lake Springfield to keep people safe. Isn't that what they do already?
Well, they do.
Like thousands of times a year?
Yeah, they do. But what I'm talking about, throughout the country, there's been increased testing because of pharmaceuticals that are being flushed down the toilet and all that, and I just want to make sure that the enhanced testing is there. It's been a problem in several areas.
Yeah, but doesn't our sewer system go into the Sangamon and not toward the lake?
Where
I'm serious.
But there's different testing and there's different stuff. So it was talking about enhanced testing. I know that.
There are septic system issues.
Yeah.
That is true.
That is
So-
true.
They did find the drugs in Lake Springfield.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So, see, Bernie always has the thinks the worst.
No.
You're not very positive.
I like your sauce, man.
Is there anything else? Anything that didn't come up that you wanted to bring up?
No, I just I hope that when you go and make the decision, because I really would like to be endorsed by the newspaper. I will tell you that, and Bernie can attest to this, whether I like what he writes or do not like what he writes, I do always accept his phone call, and I am quick to respond. And I will have an open relationship, because I do envision, as the next mayor, it will require the newspaper to make some of these changes that are going to be needed. I think that the mayor needs to have, and I understand the last mayor did not have the best working relationship with the newspaper, but I really believe to have an effective campaign as mayor, I need the newspaper, because there's going to be many issues that the public is going to need to know about, and I look at it as that we would be partners in changing the city. And you may not always agree with me, and I may not always agree with you, but I do think the press is an integral part of making the necessary changes. And I hope that you will sit down and actually consider the candidates, because if you look at it, I believe that a lot of the candidates have some of the requirements to be mayor. I think when you look at it, I think I have all of the necessary abilities to be the mayor of Springfield. One of the things I know Chris Britt likes to write those cartoons and all that. Because here it is. Mike Houston. And I think this election is coming down to Mike Houston and I. As I go door to door, people will say, well, it's between you and Mike Houston. And Chris Britt likes to throw that thing where I got the little chef hat and the pasta thing, and it's kind of a negative. It's kind of a negative interpretation. Number one, we've got a very good business. We've got a business that was better than Mike Houston's fence business when he went there. I went to the University of Illinois. I've been a home builder. I've been a realtor. This is not a case where I'm a chairman of the Prairie Capital Convention Center Board. I believe I have all the necessary capabilities to lead this city into the future. So this connotation that I may not be qualified or I may not is totally incorrect. I came back and I worked for my family mainly because my brother was killed in a car accident. I was at the University of Illinois, and I'm an only child, and I came back, to help out my family. And if that's a negative to doing it, Mike Houston's entire career was built on being mayor. He had a small business just like I did. He was elected mayor, and then all his 25 years of CEO experience have been because he was the mayor of Springfield. So I think people need to remember that. And when you look at his record as mayor, it's not overly impressive. There's a reason the public did not elect him the third time and the fourth time. And there's a reason the state did not elect him state treasurer. So I implore you to look at that and keep an open mind that this is a job that's going to require a lot of time. And I'm a person that is used to working many, many hours. It's going to take somebody that's got the energy and the enthusiasm and believes in prayer. I've got, out of all of the candidates running it, you're laughing. You're doing that Sheila thing right, that he does whenever Sheila's talking. Now I forgot what I was going to tell you.
Sorry.
Where was I going?
What did you do? I didn't see this.
He starts.
You're willing to work many, many hours, and you have all this experience. And Houston's CEO time was mostly because he was mayor.
Well, no, it was. I mean, I think you need to make a fair comparison when you're looking at it, but there was something about me that now I totally lost.
By the way, when were you a realtor and a home builder?
Well, I built my home. I built another house. I built about 8 homes in the city of Springfield. I just got done remodeling the kitchen at Warrior's house, so I've general contracted project. I built 1, 2, 3, 4 condos in Lincolnshire.
Okay, and that's just as a general
General
contractor with an occasional project.
Yeah, that I've done.
And realtor, you have a license? Or
I
did you ever sell?
I did have a real estate license, and I was at Remax.
Oh, how long was that?
I don't know, 10 years ago or something.
Just for a while?
Yeah,
I mean, a couple of years.
Yeah, but I got the real estate license because I was building the houses, and then the first project I did, I built, had a condo, and then I built 2 duplexes, and I had to move from this condo to this condo to this condo to this condo to this condo. All condos were exactly alike.
And your wife stayed with you?
Yeah, well, she moved. She moved, but all the condos, and that's the one thing about real estate that's crazy. They were all identical, and they all liked my furniture, and they said, "Well, we want that one." I said, "Yeah, but that one, nobody's ever lived in that." I said, "Yeah, no, but we want yours." So I had taken it out 5 times in about a year and a half. So,
go ahead.
So it all comes out, but what it all comes down is, leadership and understanding how to bring people together and all that. And how was I able to do it? I know the people of Springfield. I know who does good work. I know who does bad work. And I did that right out of college. I got let you know how I did it. I got out of college, built these condos, and decided I was going to build the house on my own. I went through it step by step by step. It's a learning process. But I want the perception to be known that this is not a case where I'm working for the family business because it was the only job opportunity I had. That is not the case. We're fortunate to have a very, very successful business. We're a very close family, and it's been a great opportunity to spend every day with your family. And I don't want that to be perceived as a detriment. That's he went over there because it's a great business, and it provides a fantastic lifestyle. So
I had a question. You talked about Houston and how he wasn't. I guess he lost three different races in a row now. Why do you think that was? I mean, you said there's a reason he wasn't.
Well, because I think people back then remember the State Journal Register. One of the things that everybody wants is open, transparent government, right? And the State Journal Register was a few years ago ranked the mayors, and they said the one problem with his administration was the lack of openness and transparency.
We did?
Yes. It's not in those articles, but they did a ranking.
So you get along with Jack Clark or what?
I don't know. I don't know that, but I'm just saying. I think the perception is out there that we should just, Mike Houston is the only possible person, and I think it's not accurate. I think we need to have a mayor that's going to be accessible. I think we need to have a mayor that's going to work with the council, which I think I will do better. I think we need to have a mayor that understands what young families go through. One of the things we need to do in the city is recruit younger people to the city of Springfield. I think I will have a better chance of doing that. I was going to tell you something again, and I keep going.
I didn't even smirk that time.
No,
I did.
I thought of it. I thought of it again while I was.
You can call Bernie with it. Or Bernie will probably be calling you at some point in the day.
And he's a very nice, and by no means he's a very nice person. I like Mike Houston, I like Sheila Stock-Smith, and I really like Frank Coons. I've known, the one that I've known is Frank Coons. All great people, but I think when you look at the overall package, what the city needs right now is somebody that's coming from the private sector, somebody that's used to what it's like to spend. And I hope you'll give me the opportunity and seriously think about it. So.
All right.
All right, thank you.